Testing 1 2. All right, here we go. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Politely Dangerous, episode number 8. We got my guy Jahleel Mullins in the building today. What's going on, man? How you feeling?
What's going down? I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
Cannot complain, bro. Cannot complain. Excited to be doing this. So appreciate you coming on. Excited to talk about your story.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And get a little more into it as I adjust this mic. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, man. You know, where you grew up. Are you from Columbus, Ohio? Just kind of give the people a little bit of insight about who you are.
Yeah. So born and raised Columbus, Ohio, South Side, Franklin Ave. Pretty much moved around the city. Started on the South Side for about maybe 10 years. Then moved up north for about 3 or 4, and then by around high school years, moved back down to the South Side.
What was life like growing up in Columbus for you?
It was kind of like a blur, for real. We of course we all have our ups and downs. Definitely, we have our fun moments. We had our down moments. I just think being raised in the city is just it just felt normal to me.
Yeah. Now you grew up with a couple brothers and sisters, right? How many brothers and sisters did you grow up with?
So I grew up with 3 siblings. I have a twin sister. I have a little brother, little sister, and then my senior year of high school, I recently found that I had more siblings on my dad's side.
How many more siblings did you find out?
So then that added up to 10 total siblings.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're the oldest?
No. So kind of me and my sister is kind of like somewhere in the middle, if you between the 10. You
have twin too, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So there's you, and then you said you have an older.
So I have seven siblings on my dad's side. So I had 3 older brothers, which one brother, one oldest brother, is only older than me and my sister by 5 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
The one that you didn't even know that you had.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Then I had, so there's those 3, and then we have I have 2 younger brothers. Well, 3 younger brothers, if you want to include the one that I grew up with. 3 younger brothers, and then 3 younger sisters.
Okay. And that's a lot. Most people only have maybe 2, 3 siblings. For you.
So it's still, I'm 32 years old, and it's still to this day, it still feels weird to tell people that I have 10 siblings, because naturally I didn't meet them until later part of my life. So pretty much I kind of was raised with my three siblings. But my little brother and my little sister on my mom's side were 8 and 9 years apart, so it's like such a big gap. Mm-hmm. So they didn't really necessarily experience some of the same stuff that me and my sister experienced when we was growing up.
What would you say some of those things were like that you experienced?
The hard times.
Yeah.
Yes. It was rough. Especially my mom being a single parent for most of the time. Whereas she had to make decisions, make sacrifices. Either what bills she's going to pay. Mm-hmm. Is she gonna, which bill she gonna have to sacrifice to make ends meet? What food she gonna have to put on the table? What she gonna eat
right
that night, and and make us eat. And that's the thing. Like, I remember those things growing up, and I feel like that's what made me who I am today.
Got you. Now, I know that you have served in the military as well, correct?
Yes, I served in the National Guard, Army, for 10 years. Enlisted back in 2010, got out 2009. I deployed.
2009 or?
I'm sorry. I got out 2020.
Oh, okay.
I enlisted in 2010. Got out 2020. I toured Kuwait 2017 for 6.5 months, and then I was in Jordan in this little campsite called Tower 22, which some people might most recently heard. That was the campsite that the 3 soldiers got killed a couple months ago.
With the drone.
With the drone,
correct?
yeah.
Wow, yeah. Wow, so yeah, for you, I'm sure when you heard that news, it was like close to...
Nah, definitely, it was definitely triggered for myself.
Yeah.
Definitely had me think about the times that I was there and the mental battles that I was going through. Just being there, not knowing when I was gonna come home and stuff like that.
Now going into the military, man, that's not an easy decision for a young person to make. For you, what led you to make that decision at such a young age?
Besides getting hoodwinked by the recruiter, shout out. I was playing football at the time. I was a freshman playing football down at Kentucky State, and every day, pretty much during the week, I would go into the student center to go eat lunch, and I would see the same recruiter. And for some reason, he always pointed me out and wanted to talk to me and stuff like that, and was telling me, all the good things that I could do while serving in the military. Like I could still play football, I could still be a student and everything like that. And one day I just woke up and was like, all right, let's do it. And I didn't tell my mom, or really I didn't tell my whole family till after I swore in. And my mom was not happy at the time. Yeah,
I'm sure to hear that her baby boy is going to join a branch of the military.
Yeah, because really my family's not really a big military family. I got a couple family members who served, but that's about it. My great aunt, she's probably had the highest honor. She retired as a lieutenant colonel. My uncle, my mom's brother, he was in the military for a long time. He was a staff sergeant, I believe, and so that's pretty much it. As far as that I can remember.
Now, when you made that decision, did you regret it? Was it something like, wow, I just joined the military?
So I guess I don't really tell a lot of people that I was in the military unless people ask about me, what they want to know about me. I guess you could say, everybody had their ups and downs. I guess I can I can't sit here and tell you that I wouldn't be in this place if it wasn't.
Right.
For me joining the military, because I've definitely learned a lot, especially with discipline. And just with my job that I do today, it's because of, me doing that job in the military. So my civilian job that I do now benefit from it. My college degree, the military helped with that,
right,
as far as paying for it and stuff like that. So it definitely had its benefits, but
in that moment though, because you graduated 2010,
2009.
So okay.
From high school.
So you go straight from high school and you go to the military.
No, so my freshman year I played football. So from 2009, 2010, my freshman year I played football.
Okay.
Down at Kentucky State.
But you were enlisted? You just had it?
No. So I didn't enlist
until
your military until after my freshman year of college. So really it was just the next week when school got let out in the spring. I came home. The following week, my recruiter drove all the way up here from Frankfurt.
Wow.
To pick me up, drove me down to Louisville, Kentucky, swore in, drove me back up here.
So this really was an impulsive decision.
Yeah, it really was. Like I said, shout out to the recruiter. He just got me with the money.
Yeah.
I mean, me not growing up with money like that, and him telling me how much money I could make while still playing football.
Right.
I mean, that's really all I was thinking at the time.
So how much, soon after, you're enrolled, you're enlisted, do you have to go start doing things, going to, what is it, base, or what is it?
Basic training?
Basic
So,
training?
yeah. So I had 2.5 months to get ready for basic training.
Wow. Quick turnaround.
Yeah. So I swore in May. I went to basic in August. That was in basic training down in South Carolina, Fort Jackson. That was about 10 weeks or so. And then turned around and went to my AIT, which is like our annual individual training for our jobs. I was down at Fort Gordon in Augusta, Georgia for another 10.5 weeks. So I was pretty gone. I was gone for 6 months. And then I ended up coming back home around February of 2011.
Now, if you can remember, what was that first month and a half? Because now here you are, you're a freshman in college. You're probably 18, 19 years old.
Yeah, I was 18.
You just impulsively joined.
I was 19 when I joined.
Okay, so you're 19. You just now impulsively joined the military, and it's your first month. What is that like? What's going through your mind? What are the emotions?
As far as like me in basic?
Yeah.
Basic training? So when I first got there, of course, I've watched plenty of military movies growing up, and so especially Major Payne, I just thought that was funny. And so when I first got there and we got off that bus and they had us form up with our bags and stuff, and then these drill sergeants started to come out and started yelling and screaming and all in our face and stuff, and
it's real.
Yeah, I thought it was real, but then in that moment, I definitely chuckled, and the drill sergeant saw that, and he got in my face.
What made you chuckle? You kind of just wait,
because in my mind, I know this is like a facade. I know the drill sergeants are doing their job. It's their job to be tough, to act tough, and all that stuff. And so I knew that going into it. So when I was there, I was trying to separate the two and separate the person from the their act. And so when I seen them, acting that way, it was hard for me not to hold my composure, and I started laughing out loud.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine.
The drill sergeant was not happy, and he didn't punish me. He punished everybody else around me.
That's the worst.
And so I was already, feel like I was.
I'm sure you didn't make a lot of friends that first day.
Nah, not at all. Yeah, a lot of people weren't happy, but I mean, really, a lot of people couldn't say nothing because I was one of the biggest guys in the platoon, in the whole company. It was around 100 people, and I was definitely maybe, as far as the tallest, I was probably top 5 as far as height and size. I was definitely probably top 3.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta think, I was probably in my peak condition.
Yeah.
I was just fresh off of playing college football, and I was 225 solid.
Yeah. So yeah, you were nobody was gonna say much.
And everybody at that point, when people saw me, they definitely wasn't messing with me.
Yeah. So you get off the bus, you get your friends in trouble, your new friends. But other than that, what was that first couple of weeks like, through training, mentally, physically?
Man, I ain't gonna lie to you. So every day except Sunday, we have mail call. Mm-hmm. Every night before bed, we have mail call. And for the first 6 weeks, I didn't receive a single mail.
Dang.
And I remember that last time I didn't receive a mail mail call. I went back into my bunk, and I just started bawling. I broke down because at that point, like now I'm thinking in my mind, like my family don't love me. You know what I mean? Like I ain't received a single letter.
And you said it was 6 weeks?
6 weeks in.
Dang, that's about 2 months.
Yeah.
Dang.
6 weeks, because we couldn't, you know,
Yeah.
when we got there, they took our phones, they took anything, all of our electronics. You know, this was back in the old days.
Right, yeah.
Where, you know, they took all that stuff. So we didn't have no access to nothing. And so only way we could communicate to our family was to write letters.
Mail, yeah.
And so, yeah, like I didn't receive not one until week seven.
And who'd that come from?
It was my mom.
Mom.
She explained in the letter that she was trying to gather all the letters from my family and friends to send
that one time. Yeah, that's fair.
what took the longest.
I got you.
In my mind, I was like, F that. Y'all make me mad. I'm like over here thinking like, I was telling myself like, wait till I get out of here. I ain't messing with my family.
Mm-hmm.
They dead to me, all that. Like I was going ham on them.
Yeah.
But
just to find out that they were trying to send you a bunch of letters.
Yeah. Then right when I got my mail, I got a whole bunch of letters that day too, which made me happy. To the point like even my battle buddies, they was all happy for me because they all saw that I wasn't getting nothing.
Yeah.
Every time we standing in formation, everybody's name getting called except mine.
Yeah. That would be tough for anybody, you know, especially you're 19 years old. The main people you want to hear from is your family.
Right.
You know, so I want to backtrack a little bit. You know, you said your mom was the one who, you know, sent you the letters and organized everything. And you said you grew up with a single mom, correct?
Yes.
What was that?
So grew up with a single mom, but then my little brother and sister's dad came into the picture. When me and my sister were around 2 or 3, I believe. And so he started, I guess, so when I was so young, I didn't know. So growing up, for the longest, I thought that he was our dad.
Your dad,
my dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My biological dad. It wasn't until me and my sister were about 10, 11 years old. We was having a sleepover over our cousin, one of our cousins' crib, and our cousin told us
what a way to find out
that he wasn't our dad. And I was like, oh my God, it makes perfect sense. Because I never felt that fatherly figure from him growing up. So when I found that out, all hell broke loose. Like the saying, like he'd tell me to do something, and I'm like, nah, you ain't my dad. I don't know who you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
that
mindset switched.
So obviously there's some anger there. Like, yeah, I mean, just talk me through that. Like, you know, I mean, you flipped this switch. You know, what did that switch, you know, feel like? Did you feel like you became more of like an angrier person from that point, or like?
Oh yeah, when I say I hated that man, I hated that man with a passion. Because like just knowing how I was treated growing up, knowing the amount of whippings I used to get. Of course I joke about it now.
Right.
And when I tell my friends about some of the whippings that I used to get when I was younger, like I tell people like, yeah, I thought I was Kunta Kinte. The amount of whippings I was getting
from your dad, from my stepdad.
Yeah. Like he had me, like I get in trouble for school, he'll pick me up. Oh my God, that was the quickest ride home. So now I can't even think of what I'm gonna say to get out, you know, out this ass whooping. But most of the time I get my whoopings, I gotta strip down to my drawers. You know what I mean?
So did that affect your relationship with your mom? Because obviously she didn't tell you. So like, what did that do for your relationship with her?
Not really much. I mean, I guess I don't really remember as far as me being mad at my mom. I mean, she was working and stuff, so it's like, she was just doing the best. Like I guess now that I'm older, I understand why she did what she did. She wanted to keep the family dynamic with the the typical father, having a mother, a father in the household, trying to make ends meet and all that stuff. But she didn't know the dark side of how he was treating me and my sister.
It was like behind the scenes.
Yeah. And like sometimes, but even then, there's been times where, like, if I get in trouble from him, he'll tell me, put me on punishment or something like that. Like I'll go behind his back and tell her, like, hey mom, like, can I get off of punishment? This. And so she'll definitely be like the savior in those moments.
Gotcha. All right, so you go from, this place, finding out, he's not your real dad. And then, now you got to kind of go through life with this. At what point do you think I don't want to say got over it, but, like kind of move past it?
Move past as far as?
Like the anger or like, animosity or how.
Towards him?
Yeah.
I guess it wasn't until I started going to therapy.
So when you got older?
When I got older. I don't think I ever got over it when I was younger.
Yeah, because, so now I'm obviously going to let you tell this story, but I can imagine why that might have been hard because, one, you find out he's not your real dad. And then, two, we can kind of dive into this. There was a situation was it your stepdad or was it with your real dad?
No, it was my stepdad.
All right, so go ahead and I'm going to let you tell this story because I think, you can kind of understand more why it would be hard to get, to forgive someone or move past it with what you guys went through, like with your stepdad.
Yeah, so my sophomore year, high school, I was 15 around that time. This happened September 10th, 2006. It was around 11 o'clock p.m. ish. And I remember that it was around that time because her Flavor of Love was on, and I just woke up from a nap, even though that was still late. I woke up from a nap, and I was in the front room watching Flavor of Love, and all of a sudden, I hear my mom screaming. And she was in the family room, which was in the further back of the house, but on the same floor. But I heard her screaming, but I didn't think nothing of it. I'm thinking, oh, maybe she's probably watching a scary movie or something.
Right.
And so it got louder, and it got louder. And so finally I got up, because now I'm curious what she's screaming.
Yeah, why is my mom screaming at 11 at night?
So I get up, and all of a sudden, I'm met in the hallway, and all I see is orange and red flashes.
Wow.
Bouncing off the wall, and it was just flames. And then next thing you know, my mom comes around the corner, and she's in flames.
So you're going up to see what's going on. You don't even smell anything at this point.
No.
So you're going up, and then the first thing you see is the lights, and then boom, you just see your mom running around the corner.
I see my mom in flames. So my first instinct was to grab her.
Right.
And luckily we was close to the front door. So I grabbed her, rushed her outside, rolled her in the grass.
Mm-hmm.
That stop, drop, and roll stuff didn't work. And so
she's still
in flames, right, rolling around in the grass. So then I ran and got the water hose and got the flames out that way. And then in that moment she kind of like got quiet. But luckily my sister was outside on the porch. So then I had her call the ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
And I ran back inside, because my little brother and sister were asleep.
We're still, wow.
In that same room that my mom was in when she got burned. And so I rushed to grab them because there was a pile of newspapers on fire right by them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up grabbing them, taking them outside, putting them in the minivan, went back inside.
So they hadn't got any flames on them. They were okay.
No.
Okay.
Luckily, no flames touched them. I went back inside. I was trying to figure out how this happened. Like in my mind, I'm thinking this is like a freak accident. So now I'm trying to think like how this happened. Like how did my mom get?
Did we leave something on the stove?
Yeah. Not even that, because it wasn't even in the kitchen. She wasn't even in the kitchen. She was in the family room. So like I'm thinking like the lamp spark or something. You know what I mean? Like I'm just thinking of like 1,000 ways to die type. Like how did this happen?
Right.
But it started now. The flames started to catch up. Other places around the house, and it was getting real smoky. And now I'm coughing. I barely could see. So then I ran back outside, and then we're all waiting for the ambulance. My papa, my grandma, they came. My uncle, he ended up coming, and now we just outside. Finally, the ambulance came. My mom at that moment, she was unconscious, but she was still breathing.
Right.
Thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they ended up taking her to the hospital. They took me with her. Because I had burnt marks on my arm from when I grabbed her and stuff. And they wanted to see if I inhaled enough smoke in my lungs and stuff like that. So my papa ended up going to the hospital with me and my mom while everybody else stayed at the house to figure out, what was going on. So once we got to the hospital, they took my mom to a separate room. Me and my papa was in another room. And my papa was getting updates from my grandma, and come to find out, that's when they she was telling him that they found a beer bottle and a cigar outside of a window. That now they thinking somebody did this.
It's arson.
Yes.
Yeah. At that point,
somebody did this. So they found a beer bottle and a cigar outside the window that he came in because. The way the house was set up, we had a sunroom attached to the family room, so it was dark. And so, if you know about sunrooms and stuff like that, if you're outside in the sunroom and it's dark, you can see everything going on in the other room.
Right.
But you can't. If you're in the other room and you're trying to look out in the
you're not gonna
sunroom, you're not gonna be able to see anything. So, that's pretty much how it happened. They found like a book bag on top of the roof and stuff like that.
Wow.
And so all that was going on. So now that still at that moment, we still don't know who did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Still don't know who did it. Now we at the hospital. My sister calls at that part of our lives. My mom and my stepdad was separated.
Okay.
He wasn't living with us. He moved back to Chicago because that's where he's from. So my sister ended up calling, my twin sister ended up calling him to let him know what happened. He's on the phone saying, what's going on? I'm on my way. First red flag was the fact that he so-called, drove from Chicago fast. And he got here at a pretty, speedy time. And out of everybody that was at the hospital, my papa was the only one that figured it was him.
Wow.
And so like my papa was trying to fight him.
In the moment, he was like, nah.
Yeah. And my papa in that moment was trying to fight him in the hospital. And we all had to separate, them two and everything like that. Because my papa didn't want him to go into the room to see my mom. By himself.
What was it that allowed him to piece the puzzle pieces together to be like, I know you did it?
because they was going through a divorce. My mom didn't want to be with him no more. And I mean, if my mom was abused by him. My mom covered up a lot of things that he used to do to her when me and my sister was younger. He pushed my mom down the stairs, broke her leg.
Wow.
She lied and told everybody that she
Slipped,
tripped
fell,
and
yeah.
fell down the stairs, stuff like that. Like, it's been times where I had to intervene and get in the way, where I'm trying to protect my mom, but I was small. I'm not the size that I am now.
Right.
So I used to, that's how our relationship was never good, because I see those things, and so I never thought he was a good person.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so like, but my papa knew those things,
Right?
Knew those stories and stuff like that. So like,
Because he's a little bit older, he can see between the lines a little bit more. You know,
and my
things
mom
like
definitely
that.
was telling him, behind the scenes what was going on. And so he definitely didn't like that he was there. Now then later on, more facts started to come out. So when the time that my sister called him, when she was at the house, the towers, cell phone towers, they got the information off of that, and it showed that
He was in
Columbus when she called him.
Wow.
And he was not even 10 minutes away from the house when he got that call.
Right-handed.
Yeah. And so now now he's feeling the pressure, right? So now he fled. So he left the hospital. He fled back up to Chicago. Tried to check himself into a psych ward, stuff like that. He got checked out. Now they getting a bunch of evidence piling up. So now the police is like, telling Chicago police go arrest him.
Yeah, go get him.
So they finally arrest him, bring him back down here. He didn't even go through trial. He just took a plea.
Because he knew. He probably just knew, yeah.
Yeah, no, because the judge even asked him, why did you do this? So pretty much what he did was he poured a bottle of kerosene on my mom while she was asleep on the couch. So he saw her, he saw the moment of her, being vulnerable, and he decided to go in there while his kids, my brother and sister,
and they found kerosene.
They found a bottle of kerosene.
Wow.
In the living room or in the family room where it all happened. He poured a bottle of kerosene on her and he lit her up. And his explanation was, because they was getting divorced. His explanation was, if he couldn't have her, he didn't want nobody else to.
Dang.
Yeah.
So now, okay. So let's kind of fast forward a little bit. So
yeah,
you've got this bad relationship with this man that was in your life, tries to basically kill your mom and your family. But I mean, obviously, I know you. For people watching or listening, you wouldn't be. Most people would hold a lot of aggression.
Yeah.
For a long time. A lot of people, that's a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of anger. But you seem to find a way to walk around still happy, smile on your face. What would you say has allowed you to do that? Because most people, man, that's a situation where you're not going to trust people at all, from what you've seen. And, you almost have a right to walk around and be mad at the world, but you seem to not, to choose not to do that. What's your reasoning?
Yeah. My family is a big spiritual family. Mm-hmm. My family is definitely big in the church and stuff. So like my faith was definitely was tested during those moments, especially because that first month, my mom was in a coma.
Right.
And so like every day after practice, after football practice, you know, after school, after football practice, you know, we go. My grandparents would pick us up from the school. We'll
Right.
go. We go be at the hospital until visiting time was over.
How long did this last for your mom?
As far as she was in a coma for about a month.
For about a month.
A little over a month, and then she finally woke up, and we was all there too. And she finally woke up, and which is crazy because when she woke up, she thought it was the next day. She didn't know she was asleep the whole time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I just broke down.
Yeah, because now you're looking at your mom who, one, has no idea really what just happened.
Yeah,
It's a month later, and now you almost have to tell her, like, the reason why you're in this situation is because
and she hadn't even looked at. She hasn't even
seen herself.
but seen herself as far as what she looked like.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, like, I remember during that month, at that point, my granny took custody of all the kids.
Right. Just in case, you never know what
just
can
in
happen.
case something happens. And so while now we're staying at my granny's house, and I remember one time I was just crying to my granny, and I was just trying to figure out like what are we going to do? I kept saying, like, asking her, like, what are we going to do? And then in my mind, I'm thinking, because I'm the oldest, I gotta figure this out.
Right.
And that was the hard part, because I was only 15, and I'm thinking, like, what can I do?
Well, yeah, I'm not, really, what can I do?
You know what I mean? And so, like, that was weighing heavy on me.
Yeah.
For the longest. And so, yeah, and finally she woke up and stuff, and you know, once she saw herself for the first time, and she seen the damage that was done to her, it was hurt.
Yeah, that's life changing for sure.
Yeah. Because within her lifespan, she's had up until this point, she has had over 100 skin grafts surgeries. So, I mean, I just can't imagine how she, goes through it.
Right, yeah. The mental strain that she has.
Knowing my mom, I know her kids is what prevailed her to keep going.
Right. Understand. So, kind of going back to the question, what has enabled you to kind of not have that victim mentality, or kind of have like this woe is me mindset, because like I said, man, if that was something that happened to me, I don't know how I would react. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how I would feel or how I would get through it. But you seem, obviously everything on the outside is not how it is on the inside. But what qualities, what characteristics have allowed you to get to that point where you don't walk around with that kind of mentality or that mindset?
So that situation, I've learned that you can't take life for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that moment, I've learned to like, everything happens I believe that everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
And that God wouldn't put, people in situations if he didn't think they can handle it. And so me knowing that I was one of God's strongest soldiers, that I knew I could handle it. And so I always walked with my head up. I always kept a smile. You know what I mean? I always was being positive.
Right. But
I also had my moments where, people don't see that, like, I'll break down and cry, and stuff like that. Or like I'm holding a lot of anger inside.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it wasn't until when I came back from my deployment in 2018, I went to speak to a therapist for the first time in my life, and I broke down talking to my therapist, and he definitely opened up a lot of wounds that I was going through in my life, and it just made me realize that he told me, you can't expect people to think the way you think, feel the way you feel, act the way you act. And when that was told to me, a light bulb switch went off in my head, and like I felt like all this weight was just lifted off my shoulders, because now I'm thinking it's okay. I can get through it.
Right. So that was your first time, and I think you said recently you've been going to therapy as well, right?
Yeah. So I was in therapy at first for about a year and a half, back in 2018 to 2019, and then I stopped. It's not necessarily I stopped going. Me and my therapist mutually agreed that, I was good, and that I didn't need to see him anymore.
So it definitely helped you.
Yes. No, it definitely helped. And I always, whenever I talk to people and stuff like that, I have no shame of telling people, like, hey, like, I've been to therapy. Even now, like, I tell people, like, I go to therapy now. I'm back in therapy. Because when I know that I feel like I'm going down a path that I don't necessarily like,
Right.
About myself, I went back to therapy to regroup.
So you've got these situations, man. You grow up 15 years old, you go through a traumatic situation, you get to college, you join the military. I'm sure, being deployed, that's a whole nother segment I'm sure we could dive into, just about being out of the country and, things like that. So what would you say now, man, through all that stuff you've been through, what would you say are some of like your strongest characteristics that you feel like you have about yourself through all the stuff that you've been through?
I always tell people, I do not regret anything that happened in my life, because I wouldn't be the person that is sitting here talking to you today if it wasn't for those experiences that I've gone.
Straight up, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I look at that and I look at that as a blessing. And I wake up every day and I pray and I'm just grateful just to be breathing. Cause I know that, when I wake up, I know somebody didn't wake up that day.
Right.
And so I'm just appreciative just to be alive. And that's how I go about living my life. I try to be positive, the most positive person that I can be. Not for myself, but for others. To be that light, to let people know, like, yo, don't get down. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how bad a situation can be, just, have faith and realize that you'll get through it.
Right. I mean, obviously, we all want to have that mindset all the time. And I mean, you're a human being at the end of the day. What would you say are some things that help you maintain that mindset when you do get in those dark moments or those sad moments? Yeah. What helps you stay on track to keep that gratitude mindset, that appreciative mindset? Because I'm sure there's some days, you may not feel as appreciative or, what I'm saying? So, what would you say helps you keep going?
Sports. I know in high school, my sophomores, junior, senior year, I know sports was a big factor, because it just cleared my mind. That's one thing. Anytime I get in between the lines or on the court, or on the track or something,
just being active.
I'm just being active. I'm not thinking about nothing else but trying to be the best version of me in that moment. And so it's definitely sports definitely helped. And just like I said, like my family is I have a loving family. They always there when I need to talk to them, even though sometimes I don't like some of the stuff that they might say to me. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I know that they are saying it from a good heart,
place of love.
Yep. You know what I mean? So, and friends. I have great friends, you know, especially you.
Appreciate it.
And I love that how I don't have friends that I like it. I like when my friends don't sugarcoat.
Right. Yeah.
And tell me what I need to hear.
Keep it straight up.
Than what I want to hear.
Facts. Not for
and
sure.
That we keep it, you know, my friends keep, you know, we keep each other accountable and stuff like that. And that's one of the biggest things that I appreciate with my friends.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, they say that you are the 5 people, you know, closest to you. So, so kind of, you know, wrap things up here, man. You know, like I said, this might be kind of similar to the last question, but, you know, obviously the name of the podcast is Politely Dangerous. We've talked about, you know, kind of the stuff that makes you a good person and, you know, how you stay, grateful and appreciative. What would you say are some of the things that make you dangerous? And I mean, you know, like I said, when we say dangerous, we don't mean like harmful or hurtful, but like, what are the characteristics that, like, you know, when you walk in a room, someone's like, damn, like, there goes that dude. Like, what would you say are some of those characteristics that give you that feeling of, you know, being dangerous in your own right?
Yeah. My confidence. I always tell people, my mom, I always thank my mom and God, cause they blessed me with this, you know, with this beautiful face. You know what I mean? My confidence, my charm, and I just think that every time I walk in a room, I'm that guy. I'm him.
Where does that confidence come from? Is it something?
My mom always had confidence. Like she definitely instilled it. Because growing up, my mom always had that confidence. So like growing up, we always seen that stuff like that, and she definitely tried to instill that in us. Because my mom was a D1 athlete of herself, and so, you know, when we was playing sports, she expected, you know, the same. She didn't like no, you know, the pity. She didn't pity us and nothing like that. She pushed us just as much as the coach pushed us, because she wanted to see the best out of us.
Did she ever like give you guys like affirmations or, you know, what were some of those talks like maybe that gave you that confidence?
Yeah, she's like, you're Mullins. Act like it.
That's all you needed to hear.
And when she said that, I'm like,
okay,
right.
yeah,
I'm him. You're right.
That's fair. Well, dang, man. Well, we appreciate you coming on, man. Sharing your story. You know, as always, you know, everyone that steps foot, you know, into this podcast, you know, for their vulnerability. So thank you for that. And, you know, just being a positive light, man, out here in this world. You know, we definitely need more of that, because we all go through stuff, man. And we all have a choice and an option to, you know, act one way or act another. So,
and I always tell people, if especially if I know that like some of my friends are going through stuff, I always tell them, like, I mean, I'm a phone call away, or if you want to talk in person, you know, I'll come to you, and we could just talk, and I could just be an ear. You know, I ain't even gotta say nothing. I could just listen.
Absolutely.
Because I just don't want people to feel like they got to go through stuff by themselves. There's other avenues that you can go in a positive way that can help you get through these things.
Straight up.
And I don't want no one to ever feel like, you know, they feel alone. So,
hey, man, appreciate that.
If I'm here and I'm around and you just want to talk, come talk.
One call. My guy, Mr. Mullins, appreciate you again, man. Thank you for coming on. And to everybody listening, thank you guys again. Make sure you guys, you know, subscribe, continue to listen, continue to watch. Appreciate your support. And as always, stay polite, stay dangerous. I know.